Our next guest has always had a love for writing, but an unexpected challenge almost derailed her dream of becoming an author. Today, Ashley Winstead is a best-selling author known for thrillers like In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife, and rom-coms like The Boyfriend Candidate. Now she's back with a new novel called The Future Saints. It's a love story, but not the one you're expecting, a story of sisterhood, grief, and the complexities of the music industry. Joining us ahead of her book launch event this Sunday at River Oaks Theater is author Ashley Winstead. Hello there, Ashley.
Hi, Deborah.
All right, so we had that interview at the top of the show with the Navy pilot.
Yes.
So you are a Navy brat.
I am. So that experience of being uprooted and moved, you know, like clockwork, was totally part of my childhood.
Yeah, I mentioned I went to 5 different elementary schools, and so sometimes
I didn't have as bad as you.
But sometimes that's when a book can become your friend, because books can always stay with you. Your friends don't always do that. You say that libraries were like your second home.
I mean, I had the great good fortune of moving to a Navy base in California that had a library in the base, which was the first time that happened. And when I tell you I lived in the aisles, the stacks, I would walk home with like giant stacks right under my chin. Yeah, when you're a shy little kid, books are a refuge.
Yeah. What was the very first book you connected to?
Oh gosh, I think Sweet Valley High series, if I'm totally dating myself, but Jessica and Elizabeth Wakefield, those twins in that Sweet Valley High series, were just very influential to me. And the Babysitter's Club.
It's one thing to read, it's another thing to write. You always loved that assignment at school, and they say it's a creative writing assignment. You're like, okay, this is my thing.
I have such vivid memories of getting my first creative writing homework assignment. I think I was 7, 8 years old, and it was like a homework assignment to write a paragraph about an ocean or a boat in the ocean. We're in California, so there's a lot of ocean stuff. And I took this so seriously. I paced around my bedroom as a 7-year-old, just practicing the different sentences and the words I could use. And I realized that if I created certain sentences, it would sound like waves hitting the hull of a boat.
What you speak to right now, it's just that when we read a book and we think it's so effortless, and we don't realize that, you know, even down to the word that you might choose has an impact. It sparks our imagination. I always say that, you know, there's the author, but what completes the story is the reader. And for every reader, it could be different, right? Based on our own experiences as well. It's kind of like a group project between the author and the reader. But it's not as easy as it may look. You think, oh, that's just no. What you did as a kid, you realize is what authors and best-selling authors end up doing with their books as well.
Absolutely. My favorite thing at dinner parties is when someone says to me, oh, you're a novelist. I'm going to write my book. Just once I get a little bit of free time, I'm like, let's talk when
And the toughest part about writing, everybody has a book in them, but the toughest part about writing it is starting.
Yes, right? It is. I mean, this is my 7th published novel, and every single time when I start a new one, I'm like, I forgot how to do this.
Yeah. And with that said, I'm going to back up a little bit. Just because you so love it, because you clearly loved it, doesn't mean you get a chance to easily do it. So you had some challenges education-wise, but that also taught you some great lessons.
It did. You know, I love to tell this story because writing is such a hard industry to break into, publishing, and you have to be really comfortable with rejection. I wanted to be a writer since that, 7 years old, did everything right, went to college, majored in creative writing, and then applied to 12 MFA programs my senior year of college, thinking this is the path. Everything's going to keep being easy. Got rejected from all of them. And so I took that rejection so personally. I did the thing you're not supposed to do as a creative person, is hear that no and say, okay. And I didn't write again for 8 years.
Wow.
Yes. And I had to really convince myself that no one in the world was ever going to see my writing to talk my ego really into starting over again.
And then realizing that, okay, you may not have gotten into that program, but it doesn't mean the writer went away.
Exactly.
The writer was still there. So what made you write again?
Honestly, I went and got my PhD program, which I know it sounds like, oh, that's someone's entire life mission. But for me, I got my PhD in literature. So it was a way of like circling books without writing them. And I did was such a grind. You write a dissertation, which is a book length, academic work. And I thought, you just learned how to grind 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day writing. What if you were actually writing something fun? No offense to my, my PhD and everything. But anyway, that was the lesson.
I love it. So 12 rejections to those people who rejected her. Let me just say, in my dreams, I hold a knife. Fool me once, the last housewife, the boyfriend candidate, and on and on and on. And now to the future saints. All right, lay the plot out for us, how you got the idea for this.
All right, so the idea came to me. So this is a book about music and being in a band, and it's also a book about being a woman in the spotlight, which you, I know, are very familiar with, but the peculiar pressures of having to be on a stage in the lights and bare your heart and your soul over and over again. So I think I've been a passionate fan of music my whole life. My father, who I recently lost, and whose loss actually inspired some of the grief elements of this book, he instilled a love of rock music in particular to me. When we would move as Navy brats across the country, we'd pile up, all 6 of us, people used to call us a Brady Bunch, into our station wagon and do the cross-country drives. And you wouldn't know it, but in our car we were listening to 80s hair metal, and like once, Evanescence and Limp Bizkit and Papa Roach came about, we were listening to like very hard rock in that station wagon.
All those things you didn't know at that time would
little
be
seeds.
Sources, little seeds, right?
Yes.
So we have the love story here, we have the music industry here, and so what else do we have here without giving away the book?
We have a focus on familyhood and sisterhood. I like to say that this book is my love letter to oldest daughters. I myself am the oldest of 4, and that like really particular responsibility you feel as the eldest sibling to take care of and be like a little mom.
Yeah. All right, so you have a book launch event, and we'll give details in just a second. But I would imagine as an author, it's so nice to actually meet the people who are reading your books, and they get to ask questions and see that you're a real person.
Yes, it's everything. There's no greater joy than stepping out, taking off the pajamas that I live in.
I think you should show up in the pajamas. I think this whole book launch, you should show up in your pajamas.
I mean, it'd be
because
more
that's
authentic.
when I'm reading a book. I curl up in my pajamas, and that's when I'm reading.
But yes, and to actually meet the people who, you're exactly right, who are finishing the work of the book by reading it.
Yeah. All right. The Future Saints book launch is going to take place this Sunday at River Oaks Theater at 4 p.m. Ashley will be in conversation with Catherine McGee. Every event ticket includes a reserved seat to the talk and a signed hardcover copy of The Future Saints. You can pre-order the book now or find it wherever books are sold starting this Tuesday. And the new River Oaks Theater is absolutely beautiful.